According to Iran's deputy foreign minister, the Islamic Republic is currently in negotiations with Oman regarding an agreement that prohibits military vessels from passing through the Strait of Hormuz. The leading diplomats from both nations convened to deliberate on the regulation of commercial shipping traffic in the crucial waterway, which has been predominantly inactive for almost 6 months since the onset of the Iran war. In a phone interview with Al Jazeera, US President Donald Trump expressed his belief that the United States is experiencing significant success, stating that the nation is winning very big as the conflict with Iran approaches its 6-month anniversary. "I have no time schedule. Whatever it takes," he told the Qatar-based broadcaster. "Here's all you need to know. Iran and Oman appear to have come to a tentative arrangement regarding the regulation of maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, which would prevent military ships from passing through this crucial waterway." Kazem Garibabadi told state television that commercial shipping traffic into the Persian Gulf would pass through Iranian waters, while the outbound route would pass partly through Iranian waters and partly through Oman's waters. The deputy foreign minister of Iran stated that the established routes are intended to be temporary. He emphasized the necessity for Iran and Oman to engage in discussions regarding a lasting maritime traffic strategy within the next 30 to 60 days. President Donald Trump of the United States has issued a warning that he would consider bombing Oman should it get in the way, as his administration expresses opposition to certain aspects of the developing agreement. The Strait of Hormuz resembles a bend looking down from space. Its narrowest point is just 33 kilometers wide. It flows from the Persian Gulf into the Gulf of Oman. From there, ships can then travel to the rest of the world. While Iran and Oman have their territorial waters in the strait, it's viewed as an international waterway where all ships can ply. The United Arab Emirates, home to the skyscraper-studded city of Dubai, also sits near the waterway. The Strait of Hormuz, throughout history, has been important for trade, with ceramics, ivory, silk and textiles moving from China through the region. In the modern era of supertankers, the narrow strait proved deep and wide enough to allow for oil to pass through it. While there are pipelines in Saudi Arabia and the UAE that can avoid the passage, the U.S. Energy Information Administration says most volumes that transit the strait have no alternative means of exiting the region. The vast majority of the oil and gas moving through the strait goes to markets in Asia. Threats to the route have spiked global energy prices in the past as well, including during the 12-day war Israel launched against Iran in June 2025. In a separate interview, Trump expressed his belief that Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, is very seriously wounded, although he is not dead. Mojtaba Khamenei ascended to the position of supreme leader following the death of his father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed at the onset of the conflict. The younger Khamenei sustained severe injuries during the assaults and has since stayed away from the public eye. One factor that has remained constant throughout Iran's modern history is the ultimate authority of the supreme leader, the guardian jurist, who is effectively Iran's leader for life, per the constitution. As per the Council on Foreign Relations, Iran's constitution designates the office as head of state and affords it vast control under the theory that political authority springs from religious authority. Article 110 of Iran's constitution outlines the position's major powers. They include setting national policies and supervising their implementation, as well as commanding the armed forces and appointing military chiefs and the heads of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC, and police. Ali Khamenei served as president and as commander of the IRGC before becoming supreme leader until his death in February 2026. Think tank analysts say the position is considered both an arbiter of Iranian politics and a source of emulation, so his direction is meant to both set the course for the Republic but also reflect broader consensus among elites. Meanwhile, the supreme leader relies as much on typical instruments of political power, control of media outlets, patronage, and so on, as the religious trappings of his office to influence government and society. In a letter addressed to the United Nations, Abbas Araghchi, Iran's foreign minister, called on the international organization to denounce the recent action taken by the United States that seeks to isolate Tehran from the global economic landscape. Remember, the Trump administration is pledging an economic D-Day aimed at a nation that has endured almost 50 years of severe American sanctions. After years of imposing sanctions on Iran, the Trump administration contends that the inevitable collapse of Tehran's resolve is just around the corner. They believe that by hitting the right economic targets, they can push the nation to its limit. Pro-US analysts say the ramifications of last year's airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, the ongoing conflict this year, and the American naval blockade at Iranian ports have combined to form an unprecedented scenario for surrender. The U.S. Treasury Department recently announced that it would be enforcing sanctions against approximately 60 entities connected to Iran. However, it refrained from applying secondary sanctions on nations that engage in trade with Iran. Many years ago, Iran stood as a key ally of the United States in the Middle East, particularly during the reign of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. The Shah invested in American military armaments and permitted CIA operatives to establish clandestine listening stations aimed at surveilling the Soviet Union next door. In 1953, the CIA orchestrated a coup that solidified the Shah's grip on power. However, in January 1979, the Shah, who was gravely ill with cancer, departed Iran amidst a surge of widespread protests challenging his authority. Subsequently, the Islamic Revolution, spearheaded by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, established a theocratic regime in Iran. Later in that same year, a group of university students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, demanding the extradition of the Shah, an action that ignited a hostage crisis and resulted in the breakdown of diplomatic ties between Iran and the United States. In the 1980s, amid the turmoil of the Iran-Iraq War, the United States provided support to Saddam Hussein. As the conflict unfolded, the U.S. executed a brief yet impactful military operation that severely weakened Iran's maritime capabilities, a phase of the war often referred to as the Tanker War. Subsequently, the U.S. military mistakenly shot down an Iranian civilian airliner, claiming it was confused for a military aircraft. Since then, Iran and the United States have oscillated between hostility and reluctant diplomatic engagement, with their relationship reaching its zenith during the 2015 nuclear agreement. This landmark deal required Iran to significantly curtail its nuclear ambitions in return for the alleviation of economic sanctions. However, in 2018, Trump made the decision to withdraw the U.S. from the agreement unilaterally, which ignited rising tensions in the Middle East, a situation that escalated further following Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7, 2023.